So less than a week ago, the IBF did something that sanctioning bodies, meaning the WBC, WBA, WBO, and now what we're talking about in this video, the IBF. They did something that they don't do in women's boxing, where they ordered IBF champion Ebanie Bridges. She's a champion at 118 now, right?
That is correct. 118 bantamweight champion.
To take on Shannon O'Connell, also from Australia, 23-6-1 with 11 KOs, 39 years old. And they have to have the fight done, according to reports, by September the 26th. It's July the 25th, 8:18 p.m., just a little bit over 2 months. They got to get the fight done. Now, there's so much here to digest, and we're going to try to do talk about as much as we can in these 10 minutes or so. But basically, we just did a video, our long Australian boxing video about a week ago, that's on the channel, where we were talking about that the only way pretty much this fight would happen is if they order it, and that sanctioning bodies don't order the fights. So you think they probably watched our video and said, you know what? Nah, we're going to make this shit. You know, but what are your thoughts?
I wouldn't think we've got that much influence on the boxing world, mate. It'd be funny as fuck if we did. But, yeah. No, I mean, my thoughts on this fight are that this is absolutely the fight Australia needs, wants to see, and you know, it must have, you know, what we need it, we got to have it, and it's a must do. Because we haven't had an Aussie on Aussie title fight for near a decade.
Mm-hmm.
So our last Aussie on Aussie fight for a world title, I'll include this, was Daniel Gill versus Reynold Quinlan for the IBO super middleweight title back in 2016. Before that was Diana Prozac versus Shannon O'Connell for the WBC featherweight, super featherweight title. Before that was Mundine Gill 2 for the IBF middle, and that was January 2013. Mm-hmm. So it's been near a decade since we've had a title for Aussie v Aussie for a world title. It hasn't happened in a very long time. So yeah, this is awesome.
Well, here's the thing. Do you get the sense that, you know, because I seen some of your tweets, and do you get the sense that Ebanie Bridges was even though she was trolling, acting like she didn't know who she was, but that she was, you know, she don't want to really see this girl, that she doesn't really want to fight her?
I don't think she does, because I think, well,
I get that feeling too, that she really don't want to fight her.
Most of the boxing world know that Shannon would beat Ebanie. At the very least, she'll outbox her, because she's far more skillful, she's far more experienced than what Ebanie is. I mean, Ebanie's still a novice. She's not even 10 fights in. Shannon's had, what, 30 fights?
Yeah.
30? Yeah, something like that. So 3 times the experience. And if you go back and watch the Roman fight against Bridges, rounds 7, 8, and 9, she boxed Ebanie's ears off.
She did.
But the thing was, Ebanie was already up by round 7. Ebanie was already up 5 rounds to 1. Roman got those 4 rounds, and Ebanie closed it by winning the last round. Yeah. So, and Shannon won't give her a 6-round head start. Shannon will beat her up from the start. So she ain't going to muck around, because, you know, this will be Shannon's 3rd opportunity at a major world title. She ain't going to let this one slip, because after this, there is no more.
And we can't look past the fact that Ebanie Bridges, even though this is when she really put herself on the global map, after losing she did lose to Shannon Courtney, you know, and she got busted up pretty bad. And then she did lose, in my opinion, to Miley's Gangloff, you know, in which she got a gift decision, you know. So that right there, you know, you have to look and say, okay, well, you know, she's not invincible, but, you know, you can say the same thing about Shannon O'Connell, but everything I've seen, and this is, you know, due to you, because I wouldn't have known who she really was, is looking at her, you know, 39 years old, she clearly, you know, has the experience. And then from the eye test, she's just overall, from what I've seen, a better fighter. You know, she's fought current 130-pound champion, who both Alicia Baumgartner and Michaela Mayer tried to get into the ring. Choi, she lost to her. Who else? Other names on her resume that stick out to me. Adina Kiss.
Diana Prozac.
Yeah, Helen Joseph. You know, Shanika Johnson. Mm-hmm. The Taylor Robertson fight. So she's already, you know, she does have, you know, and I'm guessing it is to be expected, a better resume. than Ebanie Bridges, and possibly, fighters that Ebanie Bridges could possibly, maybe lose to. And she's bigger. She's got the height, advantage. So the question
Yeah.
now is, will the fight go through? Do you believe it's going to go through? And is the IBF going to order a purse bid? Is this their ultimate, goal to say, okay, well, you know what? This is our way to try to kick women's boxing off. Like, who's going to pay for this fight? And especially since Ebanie Bridges is looked at to be so marketable, you don't know who would come out of the woodworks to bid on this fight. And for those who don't know how a purse bid works is, if you have your promoter's license and you're approved by the sanctioning body to be able to bid on the fight, anyone from anywhere, any broadcaster promoter can put the money up for the fight. So if somebody puts up, $2 million and there's some, Saudi Arabia, even though it wouldn't happen now, I'm just, just throwing it out there. Even if it's, let's say, somewhere in Canada or Iceland or wherever, it can be in motherfucking Africa. That means they get the rights to promote this fight. So, I'm thinking that may be lucrative to the IBF to say, wait a minute, let's see if somebody's going to come out and put up this big money for this fight that possibly will be even bigger than which currently right now is supposed to be the biggest purses in women's boxing history with the Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano fight. I'm not saying it's on that level, but I'm saying, like, if it goes to purse bid, because what happens if they don't get a deal done? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think, and this is my prediction, this is what will happen. Eddie will make this fight happen. If he's smart, he'll make it happen in Australia. Mm-hmm. What I think he should do, this is just my opinion, is scrap Paro versus Jarvis. No one wants to see that fight. There's not going to be no buzz for it. Scrap it. Get rid of it. Right? Have that fight in Brisbane with Ebanie versus Shannon as your headline. Your co-feature being Lucas Brown versus Dempsey McKean. Then have Liam and Brock on the card fighting separate people, and Sky Nicholson as your kickoff bout. Mm-hmm. That's the way. That's because I don't think Eddie's going to let this go, because he wants. I don't think he's going to let Ebanie fall into someone else's promotional deal. So it should be a co-feature between No Limit and Eddie. Mm-hmm. I mean, Fox Sports televises most of Eddie's cards on Fox Sports and KL Sports anyway, so there's already a agreement there. I'll just have to do a co-promotion thing. Charge $60 for the pay-per-view, and away you go. I don't think Eddie would let this go.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think because he lost Kambosos Haney, I don't think he's going to let this one go.
Yeah, that's true. And it must be noted that Shannon is currently promoted by No Limit Boxing, who promotes Tim Tszyu. And for those who have been following us since we've been covering the saga, the No Limit likes to really push the sanctioning bodies, just like they did with Tim Tszyu, to get his shot against Charlo pretty much jump on the line. So something tells me that they have their hand to play in this as well.
And that's a good thing, because that means that there'll be this fight is worthy of a $60 main event card. I mean, they put worse things on for $60.
Yes, they have. And I'm not even from there, and I know they put some bullshit on over there.
Exactly. So if there ever was a fight that deserves to be a main event pay-per-view, it's this one. Aussie versus Aussie for a world title. What more could you want?
Yeah, and then it's history. That's a women's fight too.
Exactly. Well, it'll be the third. Yeah, there's already been women on women world title fights.
Yeah, but could this be the biggest women's fight in Australian boxing history, like financially?
Oh, piss easy. No problem. No problem, because Ebanie will be the heel, because she's pissed a lot of people off. Everyone's jumping on the Shannon bandwagon. So, yeah, I mean, what more do you want?
Okay, so let's wrap up with this though. Here's the thing about Ebanie, and we talked about it before. What if she loses? Marketability wise,
instant rematch, more money.
Okay, yeah, true. The simpletons are not going to go anywhere. I'm talking about not her hardcore fans, but the ones that just want to, I'm going to get a little woke here, objectify her for her body. Those guys ain't going to go anywhere. But as far as the boxing fans, how long will it last if she loses? And then what if she goes on to lose, again to either, someone else in the division? Will she become just a novelty fighter?
Probably. I mean, you got to consider all aspects. I mean, Ebanie's 35. She's got that, the weighing appeal. I mean, she's not going to be around forever, and I think she knows that. I mean, if she's still fighting in 3 years, I'll be very surprised. So, yeah, so I think this is all going to be, get in, get what you can, get her money, and then, go home. So I mean, as I said, the weigh-in shenanigans is already starting to wear off. Everyone's like, yeah, okay, whatever, big deal.
Yeah.
You're wearing a G-string on a scale. Who the hell cares? Move on. Did you make weight? Yes. All right, good. Move on. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's already starting to run its course. So it's not going to make any difference here in Australia. She can weigh in lingerie all she wants. No one's going to care. No one's be like, yeah, whatever, love. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like one of those, what is it? Novelty things. It'll run its course. So, but if she loses, which I predict that she will, there'll be an instant rematch, and she'll probably lose that, and then, it's hard to say. It's hard to say what happens, but I think it'll fade. I think it'll fade out over time. As I said, if she's still fighting in 3 years, I'll be very surprised.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that it's safe to assume that the promotional companies and the fighters got the notification, from the IBF before media and fans did. So this fight is probably likely, I'm pretty sure, in the works, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to get it done. But since it was ordered to be in 2 months, don't be surprised if they ask for an extension, because at the end of the day, the sanctioning body wants is for the fight to happen. A lot of times we see where they'll order it to happen before a certain date, and then it'll happen maybe a few weeks, up to a month or a couple of months later. So
yeah, that's right, and neither fighters in camp at the moment.
Exactly. Exactly, and that's the first thing you look for when fighters start hitting that camp, on their social media. So right now, that's the first sign to look out for. So I'm not expecting the fight to happen, September the 26th. I expect maybe it to happen. If it were to happen, maybe October or so, and you already talked about how there's no football in Australia around that time. Maybe, they try to make it the fight after Haney Kambosos, maybe that next month or a few weeks later. That sound about right? That sounds about right, because they need to do it either 3 weeks before or 3 weeks after Kambosos Haney. But if they do it, they won't do it in Melbourne, so it won't really matter. It'll probably happen in Brisbane or Sydney. They won't bring it down here. Now, as far as the broadcaster situation is concerned, that's where things may get a little funky, because Ebanie Bridges is a matchroom fighter. She fights on the Zone, and the Zone right now is really trying to get some footing over in Australia. And then you have Shannon O'Connell, who is linked to No Limit, whose fighters, of that caliber, and of a fight like this, they would be fighting on main event pay-per-view. So it's going to be all about who's going to put up the most money. And I hope that, just like we often see here in the States, and now more frequently in the UK between the Zone and Sky Sports, that, I'm hoping that they don't let that that broadcaster bullshit get in the way. But that's my thoughts on it. Closing thoughts on your side?
I can't wait to see the fight, and we've got to make an effort to get there. This is historic. So
yeah, definitely.
Definitely got to get
this
there.
Would definitely be on our list. So, all right, as soon as we get some more news for you guys, we will be back to do a follow-up video. In the meantime, Australian boxing has been on a hell of a roll the last several months, so they're on a much-needed break. And, once things rev back up, you'll be seeing us doing more videos as far as our Australian boxing breakdowns and whatnot. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Links to our social media are right down below in the description box. And see you guys later.